Petra Laux joins me now. So you are the Chief Sustainability Officer and you're head of that and corporate affairs at Syngenta, one of the founding partners of the forum. And I know that, Petra, you were on the stage at the forum earlier on, looking at the call to action, the commitments that were quite concrete that came out of the forum last year. What was your main message in that discussion today?
Look, we all know what the job is we have to do. We have to produce more on the existing land with using less resources and less impact on climate and nature. This is a really big job. We know a lot about productivity and producing more. We don't know so much about having lower impact. And part of the research and investment we are doing is in developing tools on measuring lower impact. And I've given 2 examples of our engagement on biodiversity.
So you did talk about that and said you can only manage what you can measure. So it's not easy by any means, but tell me a little bit more about how you've started that and how you've got to the initiatives where you can have projects like Live and Grow, for example.
There's a challenge. You know, we listen to our stakeholders, and stakeholders understand farmers need tools to produce safely good and nutritious food. But there's a skeptic around what does this mean for the biodiversity, for the bees, for the weeds, for the birds and mammals flying around. So we do a lot of tests which are required for regulation, which is to prove that there is no harm on any of these species. But we want to understand more. We want to understand how the whole ecosystem develops, because we need to build trust in our technologies and we need to move on and becoming better. So the question is, what is the impact on farm and the whole ecosystem? And this is what we're trying to research more and more.
You are one of the biggest agricultural technology companies, so you want to be there leading the way and helping that systemic transformation and being at the heart of that. And I think that one of the discussions that was had was trying to find the sweet spot here with this. We look at farmers' protests today in Brussels again. Nobody, the actors in the value chain, seem happy.
Yeah, this is probably because we need to change the system rather than a single element in the system. So it goes with science and nature, what we discussed before. We don't need to look only at bees, we need to look at the ecosystem, how does it react. So here now we need not only look at what farmers need to do differently, but what is the whole food system and how does this mean to change. And what I observe in this sector is that there's a huge misalignment between what farmers want to do, can do, what they are being paid for to do, and what society expects and what regulators expect. And unless we get an end-to-end alignment on what is the thing we want to create and how is the value being shared across this chain, unless we have that basic alignment, change will be really, really difficult.
The lens of policymakers, we're here today in Brussels, so the EU, for example, I mean, that's one that you look through, or you can see their perspective, where you don't agree with them. Tell me where you sit within that look at how we align.
I think we have good alignment on the objectives, also on the objectives of the Green Deal. We believe the measures have been too prescriptive. If you want to create innovation, you set out a target and then you leave it to the players to achieve the target. This is how innovation is being created. So instead of regulation, you need to do A, B, C, D, and you need to prove and benefit and all of this. Give more space and more room for innovation.
If the incentive is there, for doing that.
If the incentive is there, then players will align to it.
Yeah, and you have, of course, you have so many countries that you are involved in. You have more than 60,000 employees. When you look at sustainability and the goals for that and the initiatives, the practical initiatives that you're working with farmers to produce, what results are really starting to come through now? What progress is really being made?
So we have tremendous progress still on productivity with less impact, because we, through digital tools, we become more and more intelligent and helping farmers making the right decisions on the field. So integrated pest management, so lower use rate, digital tool forecasting, whether when to spray, with soil health sensors on what is the right composition and nutrient we need to give, and what is the biostimulant we might need to use. So really, agriculture is advancing to be more of a science-based in practice process, and this is something we can observe globally.
And how important is it to bring these voices together in the forum, face-to-face, in an event like today, and to discuss that whilst it might not be simple, there is no silver bullet, there is real action and resolution and outcomes that are being achieved?
Look, everybody is trying to present them and their institution from their best side, because this is an ambition. You know, we all want to do the right thing. There's nobody who wants to be destructive in there. And even this is an incentive already, you know, to really make an effort to have the good story to tell. And by having this alignment again, understanding, each time I'm here I learned something new, because I didn't look at this from a different lens. So, and the more we look at our different lenses, the more we can design the progress together.
Well, thank you. Long may it continue. Thank you for joining us today.
With pleasure.